Today's lesson, we're going to take down this front leg. This is the front left leg of a deer, and we're going to take the mystery out of how to take this apart. In previous lessons, we took this as a quarter off the carcass, and we discussed, tender versus tough cuts. But what we also discussed was, do we leave the meat that comes with this leg on the rib cage, part of the rib meat, like the brisket and the neck? Should we take that with it onto this leg, or do we leave that there and just get this leg? So to take that worry and that anxiety about how do I take this apart, we're going to try to make it as easy as possible and as simple as possible by leaving the meat on the carcass. Here we got a little more on than what we really wanted, but we can trim this off. But this meat would be on the carcass, and we're just going to take some of this off, just clean it up a little bit. Just going to peel this off, and this will simplify things very, very easily, and we'll be able, so this could have been left on the carcass itself. So here we're going to take this, we're going to trim this piece of meat up. And we've already in previous lessons talked about utilizing that trim. So now we have a pretty simple, basic front leg. It's a front left leg. Shank, tough. Shoulder clod, tough. Flat iron, tender. Mock tender, or I call it the fish, or tender. These are the tender cuts of the front leg. So it's pretty simple. Shanks, shoulder clod, which includes these, but this is the flat iron. And then a little bit of trim back here. So how do we take this apart? How do we approach it? The shank on the front leg has basically two pieces of meat right here. So here's the bone, and we're just going to open this up so you can see that the bone, it goes here. So if you cut this with a saw, you could have the bone in shanks. But this one, when you see this, you can see here how that bone curves and how that muscle comes off. So we just go underneath there and peel this shank off in literally two muscles. This piece, that one, and then this one. So this is the outer part of the leg. So this bone comes here, then it goes to this point right here. So what I like to do is I just start and come right along here, and then on the outside of this bone, and you can feel it right there. I'll cut down to it so you can see it. So this is good, usable trim. You can also cook this the same way you would cook that shank. So we've just taken the shank off and this piece off. So 1, 2 cuts. So now this is our shoulder clod right here, but so we're going to come right behind this joint. You can see that how this moves. So we have to come behind there. You can see the bone here. This part of the shoulder blade comes up this way. On a deer or an elk, it's very pronounced. On a pig, it's a little less pronounced, but the muscles are exactly the same. So we're right back here. We're going to take this and basically just trim this off this bone right here. When we get here to this joint right here, underneath here is that flat part of the blade. So right here there's a very tough tendon, and that goes through the flat iron steak. That's how you know that you're in the flat iron. That's that tendon right there. So we have to cut through that. On beef, we fillet that off. So now we get down here and we just peel this literally right off this shoulder blade. When you get to the edge of the shoulder blade right here, you can just cut right down to the cutting board, and we just peel this piece off. So this is our shoulder clod with our flat iron. So we peel this over, just take the flat iron literally right off of there, And that's our flat iron. That's the steak that people go out to eat and order that because it's less expensive than the filet mignon. That's the tendon that goes through it. On a moose or an elk, you could fillet or beef fillet either side off. On a deer, it's not, you know, we don't do that. Then we'll take this silver skin and fascia off later. So there's tender cut. So now we have our shoulder clod. So we're just going to peel this piece of muscle off the rest of the clod. There's some stew meat. We'll clean a little bit of this fascia off of here. So this is that fascia, is that tacky membrane that makes it tough and chewy. We're just going to peel a little bit off just to clean it up. I'm not taking it all off. This little bit of trim right here, that goes in there. And take this, and now that's our shoulder clod. So this is great for a pot roast. This is a tough cut, but you know, that's where we would braise it and or stew it. But braising, we cook the whole thing whole. But that fascia has to come off. And again, we take that off literally when it comes out of the freezer. That fascia comes off, braising. Tough cut, tough, tender. So we don't have too much left on here. We come around this joint, come back to that bone, follow the blade down, and just peel this piece off. We get to the edge of the, now this is the short side of the blade right here. And that's why I like to call this a fish, because to me it kind of looks like a fish. This is tender also. So I'll take this one, put it with the other one from the other front leg, this one with the other one from the other front leg. Got a little bit of meat back here. On a moose, on an elk, of course, it's a lot bigger. We just take this and peel this off because this is still good, usable trim. So there's our blade. There's the flat iron. That's what I call the fish, the clod, the shank, and part of the shank and the face right here. So hopefully we eliminated some stress, we eliminated some anxiety, because a lot of people get anxious when they approach the front leg. The problem what happens with the front leg is if it's hit with a bullet, then we get a lot of waste in here, we got a lot of bone fragment, and then it does become difficult. But overall, that was the initial trim that we could have left on the carcass. You know, we're really only left here with these two tender pieces, some stew meat or braising and braising. So when we talk about cooking and recipes and or breaking these down even further, they'll be on future lessons.